What we have in front of us on the screen here today is a Rug Doctor deep cleaner carpet cleaning machine, and this one came in for a service because the customer was having some problems with it, and I recently repaired it, so I thought I'd make a quick video mentioning a few tips for you just in case you get one of these or you come across one of these and you need to work on it. So before we go any further, I just want to give you a quick overview of how it works. There are 4 key components on this carpet cleaning machine. There's one main motor which is located in this area here inside. There's a secondary motor which is for the brush at the front, which is located at the back inside here. There is a water pump which is responsible for bringing the shampoo out onto the carpet, and there's a solenoid here. I think what that does is switches the water to go from the front to the back, or both at the same time. I can't remember now. So those are the 4 key components. Inside here there is also a circuit board with various components on it that is responsible for switching the various different components inside here on and off, and diverting everything to its correct place. Now, as I say, this one came in for a particular problem, and that problem was whenever they would switch the machine on from the switch here, there's a black switch here. Whenever they would switch the machine on, what would happen is it would run for a while, so the main motor, which is responsible for the suction, that sucks all the water from the carpet into the dirty water tank here. The main motor would run for a while and then it would kind of like stop running. As soon as that happened, it would trip the fuse in the consumer unit. So what they would do is reset the switch, wait for a while, try to switch it on again, and it would run, and then it would just stop. And as soon as it stopped, the fuse in the consumer unit would trip again. What they mentioned was whenever this would happen, a really strong burning smell, it's a really pungent smell, would be given off by the machine, right? And it just take over the whole room. It's a really distinct burning smell, like something's really burning inside. This was the description that they gave me. So once we got the machine in here, what I did was I completely stripped the machine. What you have to do is there's a couple of screws behind here which you have to take off, and then there's a couple of screws which go down the back here, and that allows you to remove this handpiece here. What I did was I did some continuity tests from the plug to the handpiece to make sure there was no shorts or anything like that. So that was showing us fine. There was no issues in the cable that I could find. And then what I did was I completely, what you do is you remove this front water tank, back water tank, and I completely stripped the machine, and I was able to access the main motor, which as I said is located inside here. So I thought, okay, let's have a look. I mean, I kind of figured out it was something to do with the motor, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go on to the demonstration table, and I'm going to show you what it was that I found. Now, before I move on to the demonstration table, what I want to show you is another 2 issues which I found on this, which I ended up sorting out anyway. Now, the other issue was that on the one that I had that came in for repairs, by the way, I should mention the one that came in for repairs into our workshop, that was about, if I remember correctly, it was about 4 years old, so it had good use out of it, and I think they were using it in a commercial environment, even though this is not a commercial machine. I believe it was being used in a commercial environment. So what happened on that one was this plastic piece here, okay, it splits from here, but it doesn't split from all the way from the top. It just splits from here, and it also splits from this section here, right? Now there are grooves where it splits from. So what I did with this one, and I'm only mentioning this if you have the same problem, how you can fix it. I got a toothbrush and some isopropyl alcohol, and I completely cleaned this section here and this section here as well, and I used some really strong glue. You can, whatever you prefer, there's so many different glues out there, even super glue I suppose you could do it as well, and I just glued this piece and this piece back on. So that was the second issue that I had with this, which I sorted out. And the third issue was, if I go to this image here, if you have a look here, this here is the handpiece. You can choose to clean the carpet with the brush on the machine, or you can divert the shampoo through the hand. You connect this into the top, and there's two connectors. One is for to suck the dirty water in, which is this one here, and this is for the shampoo to be pushed out through the brush onto the dirty carpet or the stain, whatever you're trying to clean. And what happens is this, what I found was this O-ring here, it's a rubber O-ring. It had completely worn out and it had moved all the way to the back, and I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm gonna replace that O-ring, which I haven't done yet. I just thought I'd mention those 2 points, those 2 key points. So most likely if you get one that's about 4 years old like I did, you'll probably have the split here, and you'll probably have a worn out O-ring here, so you can go straight look for them straight away after watching this video. Once you take this off, this plastic piece here, this cover, the brush cover here, you can actually buy this brand new from Rug Doctor. I think it's about £46 including delivery, but in this occasion I wanted to save the customer some money, so I thought, you know what, I'll just repair it for him. And because since he's already spending a bit of money to replace the motor and for the service, I thought I'll just fix that for him. Even if it, with that coming off, it still worked. It would still work because it's suction, it's not pushing out, it's sucking in. But once I repaired it, it seemed quite solid. So those 2 points, yeah, I thought I'd mention those 2 points. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the demonstration table and I'm going to show you what I found on that motor. Right, so if you have a look here, this is a brand new replacement motor for the Rug Doctor deep cleaner carpet cleaner, and this is exactly what it looks like. You've got a piece at the front here, and then you've got the carbon brushes here. These are where the carbon brushes go inside here. You've got one here and you've got one on the other side. Right, there's 2 points here where the power cables come in, 1 point here and 1 point here, as you can see. Right, and then the back bit here, it looks like this. Right, so it's like a fan at the back to cool it down, and inside here there's I believe there's 3, can I get that on the camera? You can probably just about see it behind here. There's 3 more screws. There's one here, I think there's one here, and there's one on this side inside here. Right, so as soon as I took this motor out, I could tell the smell was really strong and it was really pungent. It was a burning smell, and when I switched it on inside the workshop, when it died, I could smell that burning smell. It took over the whole workshop. It was a really strong smell. So I kind of figured out, you know, as soon as I took this apart and I kind of figured out, I got to this motor, I kind of figured out there was something, there's an issue with this motor somewhere. So the way you take this motor apart, it's quite easy, it's not difficult. What you do is you put a wrench and a nut inside here, okay, and you just turn it, and this back bit here, it will just unscrew itself with a couple of turns from the front. This will unscrew and it will come off. It will give you access to the 3 bolts, 2 or 3 bolts underneath here. Unbolt those, okay, then what you do is you remove this nut. The way you remove this nut is counterclockwise. It's not clockwise, it's counterclockwise. This nut will come off, and then it's really easy. Then all you got to do is remove 1, 2, 3 and 4. There's 4 bolts here. Once you remove those 4 bolts, okay, and you've freed this nut from here, this piece here will just, well, before that this piece will be removed. Okay, once you remove the bolts at the back, this piece will be removed, and all you'll be left with is the frame here and the front piece here. Okay, then all you got to do is just pull on this, right, and this back piece will come off. It will free itself from the front piece here. Okay, now as I say, this is a brand new replacement one which I ordered directly from Rug Doctor, and you can order one of these as well if you're working on one of these directly from them, and they usually deliver it in about 3 or 4 days. I think this one came in about 2 days. So I'm going to show you now what I found inside this motor and what the problem was. So so let's do that now. Right, so before I took it apart, I removed the carbon brushes, because I thought just in case if there's an issue with the carbon brushes, and this is what the carbon brushes look like, and they are attached into the case with one bolt here on its own that goes into the case, and then it pushes against the centerpiece. That's all it is. And as you can see, even though it's been used for about 4 years in a commercial setting, there's plenty of life left in those brushes, and it's the same with the other one here. Okay, so I kind of figured out there's no issue with the brushes, it's got to be something else. So I thought, okay, let's dig a little bit deeper. Once you remove that back piece, I should mention something here. Before you remove the 2 cables from here and here, make sure you mark, there's a black cable and the white cable. Make sure you mark on the faulty motor where the white one goes and where the black one goes, so when you get your new motor you're not confused and you know where to connect those cables, the power cables, right? So as I say, when you pull that piece off the front of the motor, this is what you're going to be presented with. This is exactly what it looks like. These are the coils, and this is the central piece. Once you've taken that off, all you have to do is just push it. You don't need it doesn't need any serious force. Push it from here, and this piece just comes out like that. This is the part that touches the carbon brushes, and energy is transferred through this section here. You have one bearing on the back here, and you have one bearing on the front here, this bearing here. Once I took it out and I started having a closer look at it, what I realized was that if you have a look here, right, this bearing here, it was faulty. If you can see here, can you see that? Right, so because it was faulty, you can see the movement in there, right? Yeah, what was happening was that the central piece here started to touch the sides or the insides. So this piece here started to touch, as it was spinning, it started to touch these sections here, these sections here, this section here, and this section here. So this central piece here is not supposed to touch the coils on the sides. This should spin freely. What happens is the electricity comes in, energizes the coils, and it allows this, or it makes this spin, the central piece here, and this is what is responsible for the suction. So what was happening was, because this bearing here was faulty, it was allowing, because there's some movement in there, it was allowing this central piece here to touch the coils at the side. When it was touching the coils, what was happening was, it was like a short circuit situation. And what happens in a short circuit? You start getting heat generated. So these coils here, they are covered in a special type of enamel. And when this started touching the sides here, there was a short circuit, and these coils started heating up, and the enamel started melting. And that pungent smell that I was talking about was the smell of the enamel melting. And the way we can tell that, another way we can tell that as well, I found some other signs here which I'm going to show you. If you have a look here, you can see exactly where it started touching the sides. Can you see where it's worn in here? You've got on this side here, and if you have a look here, it's worn in from this side here as well. So 2 clear signs that there's a problem. Now what I would say to you is, this motor, as I say, it was 4 years old, and I didn't want to take any chances. It took a lot of time to strip the machine and take it apart, and the motors are not really too expensive. If yours was, let's say for example, a year old, and you know it hasn't had much use, then what I would say is what you can do is you can buy a bearing puller from eBay. They're about £15. You can pull this bearing off, and you can order this bearing in and press it back into place. But because this motor has had 4 years of use, I thought, you know what, we just replace it with a new one, and that's the route that I took, and that's exactly what I did. If you remember, I was mentioning about the worn out O-ring. This is what I was talking about. So if you have a look here, take that a bit closer. Yep, you can see what's happened to that piece, that O-ring there. It's completely worn out, it's come out of its place, and it's gone all the way to the back. So that's had a good bit of use. So watch out for that. If it's worn out, just replace it. These are not expensive, you can buy them in a set. I have some lying around from the little bit of plumbing that I do here and there, so that wasn't an issue for me. So those are the three issues really I had with that machine. The motor, the front piece plastic that had come apart, and this O-ring here. Now normally I would put it all back together and make a video and show you it working, but it's too big, and I can't bring it here into the studio, so that'll just have to do for now. I hope somebody benefits from this video if they're trying to troubleshoot or fix one of these, and all I ask is that if you have benefited, then do share it with others as well. Well, that's it for today's video. As usual and as always, bye for now and have a nice day.